Perfect. Alright, let's watch.
This build gives HECARIM Assassin HECARIM, an invisible one-shotting horse. Unlike normal HECARIM, who is usually a tank.
Yo, you guys know
I'm just gonna pause first.
With his Q, with a big damage ult to jump on a carry and kill them while they're still feared, and even an invisible item that gives you time to reposition, so you can really 1 versus 5. If you want free LP and to get pentakills, then this is a perfect build for it. Even when you're not fed, it looks like you are. This challenger HECARIM has invented a super easy set game plan. Just build the right items, and then 1 versus 9 late game. This pick is so incredibly good, and that's why it works in every rank.
Well, okay, so it does work in every rank, but the thing is, ever since they like nerfed it, it hasn't been like as good anymore. Cause like, I don't know, they nerfed a bunch of his ratios, and then they also nerfed like the items that made it super OP. So right now I'd say it's like decent, but it's not free win.
The challenger. But first, this video is sponsored by Professor, a League of Legends companion app. I'm a huge fan of it, and so are lots of the high elo to give you information about their strengths and weaknesses. Also, having summon a spell time, they can't help you. This is all description, and with just a couple of clicks, you can immediately start winning more games. Back to HECARIM and our player. Meet Dantes. He first started playing League in Season 4 at age 12, but not because he wanted to try the game. Instead, he actually got banned on a Minecraft server, and to try and get an unban, he was challenged by the admin to a League of Legends 1 versus 1 as a new player against.
Because the thing is, I never actually wanted to try out League ever, because I always said that like League looked like a cringe game because my brother said it was a cringe game. So the only reason why I actually started playing it was because of that Minecraft server.
He got demolished. But even without his Minecraft server to go back to, he now had a new game to play. He hit level 30 as fast as possible, started ranked, and right away dropped to bronze 5, 0 LP. It was not a good start. Season 5, testing new champions. It was actually then when he discovered HECARIM as one of his favourites. All of those years ago. However, his climb didn't go much better, and funnily he even told me that he sent Riot a ticket, begging them to extend the length of the season.
Dude, this is actually true, because at the end of Season 5, I was Silver 2, and I had 1,500 games, and I said, I'm so close to gold, and I really want to get gold for the Victoria skin, so I actually submitted a ticket to Riot, and I said, give me a few extra games of the season, because I had losers queue, so I wanted them to extend the season by like 2 or 3 days, just for me, so that I could hit gold, and I said, I'll pay you $30. I'd pay the rider $30 for an extension, but he told me to f*** off.
So that he would have more time to get to gold. Unsurprisingly, this attempt was unsuccessful, so with the new season starting in Season 6, Dantes picked up HECARIM properly, and then made it to gold, powering through even to platinum by the end of the year. He practiced this one pick with one style, and it paid off. Over the next couple of years, not much progress was made. Dantes hit diamond, but HECARIM as a champion started to struggle in the meta. But by Season 9, Dantes had an inspiration. A player named Be Nice to Each Other hit rank 1 challenger with a full assassin HECARIM build. He couldn't believe it was possible, in a meta where HECARIM's bruiser builds were awful.
So, funny story, this is back when it was Enchanter meta, okay? And you couldn't play HECARIM in that meta, because the problem is that you would go in, and the enemy would just get so many shields that you'd be worthless. So what Be Nice to Each Other did was he just played full assassin HECARIM, and he would one-shot everyone. All the squishy enchanters, he would just one-shot them. And I actually hated that build at the time, so I dropped HECARIM. Because I said, you know what? Like, I don't like that build. I don't like that playstyle. And it was actually only years later that I actually started doing that build again, which was like nowadays.
His counters were really good. Someone had found a new full damage build, and it was actually working even in the top of Challenger. Dantes kept grinding, getting Master this year, and then finally hitting Challenger in Season 11. But why is he playing Assassin HECARIM? First off, HECARIM as a champion is thought by many people to be an elo inflator, meaning anyone who might not be quite good enough to climb. If they pick HECARIM, they'll probably be able to climb anyway. However, Assassin HECARIM is completely different. The risk is much higher, as he no longer has any resistance to keep him safe. So if you make mistakes, you are punished for them, but in exchange, he's rewarded with much higher damage, and the ability to one-shot people with it. This pick works mainly because of HECARIM's ult, the unstoppable long-range dash, which allows him to instantly access the—
Did he ask you this, or did you just research it? Me? He asked me all this. So I created a Google Doc the day before I left Europe,
the enemy backline, no matter what. This ability means that as long as you buy enough damage, you can insta-kill any squishy champion, then use the Duskblade invisibility to reposition, and this will give you time to set up kills on the whole enemy team. This is HECARIM's only true dash, so usually the best way to counter HECARIM is to kite him, but with this high damage build and phase rush, you're not escaping Assassin HECARIM.
So funny
with
thing,
a very simple game plan, Dantes is able to...
Funny thing, the thing about HECARIM is even though he's a very fast champion, right? The way you actually kite him is by like kiting him. That's how you counter him. So that's why you always need to go phase rush. You can't go conquer, or else you get kited way too easily.
Up, quickly reaching this high damage power spike, and becoming this mid to late game hyper carry, bursting backliners, going invisible and refusing to die, then running around the enemy team spamming Q until they're all dead, truly reaching an unstoppable late game. And this build is now even better thanks to a change Riot made in patch 12.17, which was actually suggested to the developers by Dantes in an attempt to make HECARIM.
So, funny story actually. I once made a tweet, right? Months ago, months and months ago. And I added Riot and I said, this is the problem with HECARIM. Please make these changes or else he will never be like actually properly balanceable. And I remember after I made that tweet, everyone was laughing at me. They were like, dude, look at this guy crying on Twitter. Ha ha ha. He's crying on Twitter again, bro. As if Riot's going to take him seriously. 2 months later, they take 70% of the changes I suggested and actually ship them.
A bit harder, the AD ratio on HECARIM's Q was buffed, in exchange for removing some of his base armor and magic resist. This set up a much more interesting playstyle, where HECARIM can't just turn his brain off and run in, but instead you now have to prepare Q stacks before you fight, using a camp or a minion wave. This buffs your Q damage by 40%, and lowers the cooldown to 1 second.
It's actually higher.
Lower, and this
with a fully stacked Q,
damage.
well, before the recent nerfs, you would actually get up to 65%. That's how big the bonus was. Something around there, but nowadays it's like around 40 to 45.
Is how you can kill a whole enemy team. This build gets interesting at 2 items, Duskblade and Mana Moon fully stacked. This is where the build kicks in, so let's quickly see how he's able to get there so fast, and then we can show how satisfying the build is. The jungle clear, super simple, it's a full clear from topside. He does this every game, in this order, depending on the side, but always going towards bot lane, as he believes it's the most important lane to gank.
Always.
In fact, even after his first full clear, he often looks for a level 4 bot lane gank using Ghost.
Because that's the beauty of it. Listen, the reason why you always want to full clear towards bot, if the enemy bot's shoving, you kill them. If the lane is even and the enemy jungler ganks, you kill them. If your bot lane's shoving in, you wait for counter gank, you kill the enemy jungler if they gank. Simple as that. You secure winning bot lane in most of your games just by doing that.
Speed behind the enemy and knock them into his teammates to set up a kill. He doesn't really focus on ganking at all. Instead, he checks his minimap. Dantes plays with jungle timers, just like the ones in Porofessor. Having this app is super important as it lets him see exactly when his camp is going to respawn, so he can plan to base in time and get back just as the camps are respawning to start.
That was actually a good
inclusion.
inclusion.
Through camps is how he quickly outfarms the enemy jungler. He knows exactly where to be at the exact second, not wasting any time thanks to Porofessor, collecting gold and XP, hitting level 6 much faster. He now starts to build up items and stack his tier, even taking Ingenious Hunter to stack it faster. His first bit of damage is serrated Dirk, so at level 6 the damage is pretty good for ganks. He's a super patient HECARIM player, only using ult if it's really required. He can get kills with just the E push, and save ult for if the enemy flashes away, still being able to use it to get the kill and getting their
imagine I don't use, imagine I don't save either.
Because this build is super cheap compared to
those versus Scrubnub, I'm pretty sure.
You get it much faster and come online a lot sooner. With Duskblade, the fun begins. This item on HECARIM actually enables a very patient playstyle. He can start off the fight super fast, using ultimate to dive right onto someone, using his damage to pop.
So like, this is the thing that a lot of people don't understand. Let me explain something, because this is really important. The thing about assassins, and the thing that makes a champion a true assassin, it doesn't have to do with high damage output, it has to do with repositioning, okay? So it's about when you jump into a fight, right? Every assassin needs 2 things. They need a way to enter the fight, and they need a way to reposition during the fight, right? This is one of the reasons why Blue Cane is so annoying to deal with, because he has a way to enter the fight with his like R, with his Q and everything, but then he can also easily exit the fight with his E and his Qs, right? And slow with his W. But the thing is, when you're playing, same thing with Kha'Zix, right? Kha'Zix can E out of fights, or he can like ult during it, right? So that's why as a champion to be played as an assassin, you always need either invisibility or you need dashes, or you need like things that go over walls, right? Things like that. And HECARIM never really had that apart from his R. So that's why in the past, Assassin HECARIM was never really that great. But when they introduced Drakthar, it makes it so that now you can go in and you can use the invisibility to reposition. And with the invisibility, you don't need tankiness because they can't target you, which allows you to actually win the fights. Does that make sense? So that's the reason why Drakthar is the only thing that makes Assassin HECARIM really like super viable.
Visible to have time to choose his next option. The combination of
Rengar isn't an assassin. Well, Rengar with any item that isn't Drakthar is infinitely worse than Rengar with Drakthar.
Damage, high movement speed, and
when it comes to team fighting,
the HECARIM is able to cover a lot of distance while he can't be seen. He can run to a new target or even run away from danger, so the risk of the build goes down a lot once you get that first kill. With Mana Moon stacked, HECARIM's damage goes up again, also looking for an item like Ravenous Hydra or Spear of Sojin to turn him into a DPS monster. This is where his Q stacking strategy really helps.
Yep.
Every time he ganks or starts a fight, he's always stacking
Look at this fight
first. His damage is already off the charts, and then he increases it by 40%. His goal is to get these stacks to buff up his damage, and then look for a flanking ultimate, blowing one enemy up, going invisible, and causing carnage in the middle of the enemy team. They can't see the full damage horse anywhere, and are forced to split up and run. But of course with Phase Rush, HECARIM can chase them down one by one, and finish them off with his high damage Q. The later the game goes, your damage only increases. He uses gold so efficiently, so if this champion is on your team, you should never really be surrendering. There's always a way to come back, because your damage is nuts, and you're very hard to kill thanks to the invisibility and the healing on your W. Here are some challenger tips for this build, including a way to instantly proc Phase Rush with no risk. Using W, Q, and Smite, you can keep speeding up with your E and run around.
Like, you guys see that?
But you don't have to risk going in. Enemies
W, Q, Smite
dashes or summoner spells, but you're still
in the past I used to use Tiamat, and I would like Tiamat
using an E on one enemy and then ulting the real carry. This extends your ultimate range and tricks your target into thinking you're engaging on someone else, leaving them open to a surprise ult. And finally, a way to guarantee you'll always hit your ult. With HECARIM's E, if you hit an enemy, it also knocks them back. So if you quickly ult while this push is going off, it becomes an undodgeable ult as the enemy is CC'd, setting up the fear and the damage. So HECARIM doesn't need teammates, you can combo off your own CC. The off-meta rating for this build couldn't be simpler. It's very similar to Crit Olaf. Super simple to pick up, some of the highest DPS in the whole game, which is also AoE damage, so your potential in teamfights is unlimited, and an easy plug-and-play game plan to make it work. Pick this and get LP, it's that simple. The full assassin build starts with Blue Pet, of course, for the speed up.
So wait, hold on. There was one thing I want to go over. So the only real thing about this build is, yes, it's vulnerable to invades, and that's why it's actually funny, because you guys are going to notice when the season starts, for me at least, every single game I'm going to play, I'm going to get invaded perma. But the thing about it is, because I take Phase Rush, I'm able to actually live through the invade since I can just run away. And that's what separates me from all the other HECARIM players that have a bad win rate, right? It's the fact that I can sit there, and with Phase Rush, I run away, and I'm able to live through all their invades, and then I can just like outscale.
It's that simple. The full assassin build starts with Blue Pet, of course, for the speed up, buying Ionian boots early on for cooldown reduction, as this makes your DPS higher, as it reduces your Q cooldown, and enables you to get more ultimates off to make more plays. Buying the core items, and then you have a couple of options. These are the standard items to make you a 1 vs 9 carry, or you can buy more lethality if you're against a ton of squishy enemies, as this will let you pop people easier, and finally some resistances to go with your damage if you really need it. There are 2 rune pages, but the Phase Rush one is probably the best for this full damage
Never
build.
go Conqueror with this.
If you're going more Bruiser, then you can take this Conqueror page instead. Ban Udyr if you're picking this, as he can beat your 1 vs 1 damage. And most importantly, don't forget to download Porofessor for the camp timers, link below. It's great for playing HECARIM,
good video, honestly.
Your camp timers, but also great for playing against any jungler, as it can help you track them.
Honestly?
Thanks again to Dantes for helping with this video.
Honestly, good video. Good video. Like, really well made. Very well made.